how to focus on what you want. I'm Andrea Schneider, health and fitness expert, and I'm here with my friend Karen and her kitty. Karen, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Karen Langston. I'm a holistic nutritionist and healthy gut advisor training healthcare professionals and advocates. And this is my cat Zazu. I think you've only got the butt end of him. There he is. Say hi, Zazu.
Really wants attention today.
I don't
So
know what's going on.
we're going to talk, this is going to be a fast video because Karen and I have a lot of things going on today, but we want to talk about how to control your mind. And I know, I have to practice what I preach because sometimes I wake up and I'm not necessarily in the best mood. I don't jump out of bed saying, yay, another beautiful sunny San Diego day. Let me start my day. I've got to implement some things and redo them and do them and make them part of my life, make them habits. So some of the things I do are affirmations, looking in the mirror and saying, I love you, Andrea. So of course, when you're saying it to yourself, you don't say, I love you, Andrea. You use your own name. My mom was laughing at that the other day. We were talking about that. And affirmations, a dream board, visualization. And Karen led us through a really good visualization the other day. And would you share a little bit about that again, Karen, how you see visualization? And tell me if you hear a weird noise coming from my end, because I hear people drilling outside. Do I need to shut my window?
It's all right. The drill, it's not that bad.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So tell us about visualization.
Sure. Well, one of the things just talking about affirmations is I actually write my affirmation on the mirror. And I do the same thing, only I say, I love you, Karen. And I do. I write, I love you, or whatever I need to work on. Visualizing, and it's funny because we were talking about this. I'm not a big meditator. What I do is when I wake up in the morning and before I go to bed at night, I visualize what it is that I want. So I'm working on my goal of owning my own healing center on an island. So every night or every morning, I wake up and I visualize my my guests getting onto a plane and coming over and landing on my island, and I have my what do you call it? My Hummers, but they're convertible type Hummers. And so I have my staff there and they've got all their drinks, and the drinks are all fresh made juices from the island, and they all get in, and I have the little leis for them as well. And and for me, it's always on the right side. The ocean's always on the right side. I'm not sure why, but that's just part of my whole visualization. And we drive down the island and you can smell the island air and the ocean, and everybody's just so happy. And as we're driving along that road, you can see my home, and you can see the fountain in the front, and then we go off to the actual center itself. And then I visualize them going on a tour with me, and I tour them through the whole facility and the organic gardening that we have, and just all the fauna and the animals that are there as well. And it takes me probably about 10 minutes to go through that visualization, but I just feel that that's what's going to bring what I need into my life. And that starts me off on a really good note for the day.
It's great. And I can actually, as you're saying it, I can see how your face, lights up and how important it is to you. And I can almost feel like I'm there with you. And for me, that's what I need to work on, because I read a book recently about visualization, but I haven't really been able to implement it. I mean, I know in my life there have been certain things that I wanted to achieve, and then I did. Like growing up in Illinois, I always said I was going to do three things: be a mom, be an attorney, and live in California. And I've done all those. I didn't know why, and I didn't know what visualization was, certainly when I was 10 years old. But that's something I'm working on now, is how do I visualize, like, what is it I want in my life, and then how am I going to get it? And the more I can vividly picture it, like you're vividly picturing, I know that will be helpful. And I know some of us see things, we read things, we hear things. We're all different type of learners and how we pull things in. So I really like how you're doing that, and I could see you're going to accomplish it, Karen.
Well, that's how I ended up working in Mexico. It was the same thing, that whole visualization thing. And it was actually on an island, and I was living on the beach, which is what I've always wanted to do. But it wasn't my island and it wasn't my healing center, but I really feel that I needed that part in order to even better visualize my journey. You're a big meditator, aren't you?
Well, I try to meditate. I don't necessarily meditate every day. I do better in a group situation. And then I have an app that I listen to some different meditations. I do best with a guided meditation. Just sitting and meditating on my own doesn't always work for me. I'm working on implementing it on a more regular basis. But I do really believe in meditation, and I see the value of it, and really kind of clearing your mind and focusing on your breathing and letting the thoughts just kind of go through. without focusing on them. And the more and more I do it and the more I hear others talk about it, the more I really see that as a tool to really help focus your mind.
Oh, I like that. Well, I have a monkey brain. I can't meditate yet. Visualization works way
Yeah.
better for me.
Meditation suffers with better. So what we're saying is there's a lot of different tools out there. So find some things that work for you. Maybe it's the affirmations, the visualization, the meditation. Another thing that I'd highly recommend is that you try to start focusing on one thing and not multitask. I know we live in such a fast-paced society where we've got these phones like attached to our hip, literally, and there's so many temptations to be on there all the time as opposed to with the people that we're with, and that absolutely drives me nuts. And focus on one thing. And I know it's hard sometimes. You get caught up, you're doing one thing, and then you see something pop up, and then you get distracted by that. And I just don't think all that stimulation is good for our mind and our energy. It just kind of sucks the energy sometimes. And I think sometimes we just need to disconnect.
Well, think about it. You go out to, say, a lunch or a dinner, and everybody's on their phones, and even yourself, you're on your phone, and you're completely distracted. And you come away from that dinner, and somebody says, "Oh, how was your evening?" And you start to think back, and it's like, I don't even remember anything that I spoke about because we weren't present in that moment. And I think that we need to be more present for sure.
I definitely agree with you. And I've got a rule, like when my family comes to the house, they all know, put those cell phones away. And we try as a family to have a family dinner almost every night, depending on schedules and sports, but there's no electronics, no TV, no cell phones, nothing. It's just communication. And I think, there's definitely value in the technology, and we're using that right now, but there comes a time where people, I think, are starting to lose one-on-one connection. And I'm afraid future generations are going to lose it even more because they're so dependent on technology. So
I think we're seeing, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I think we're seeing it now. I mean, I was recently in a store, and I was having some problems and I needed help. And the young girl behind the counter couldn't even help me. She couldn't even give me eye contact. And I'm seeing that a lot with our young people, is they've lost the ability to talk one-on-one, and give that eye contact. And like you and I demand that because we grew up without technology.
Right. But then I even see ladies our age sometimes who are, at a social gathering or so, or at an event, and they can't be with the people they're with for 10 minutes before the event. They have to be on their cell phone. And my son noticed that. We were at a event recently, and he counted like 12 people right around us that were, glued to their phones. And it just gets to be too much, and it's just overstimulating. So let's go back to focusing on our own mind. So visualization, affirmations, meditation, not multitasking. What else, Karen? What else could we be doing?
I think working on ourselves as well. I think a lot of times we view the world through our pains and traumas, and 9 times out of 10, we don't even know that those pains and traumas are playing out on a daily basis. We're in a present moment and something triggers something, and that trigger is not the present moment. That trigger is your body going in and say, hey, I think I've been in a similar situation like this, and then allows that stored trauma to come up. And so I think that we need to start finding those practitioners out there, that I call them the psychospiritualists, because they work more with our stored traumas, where a lot of psychology is just working with the frontal lobe and our logic and our reasoning. And I think that we need to go deeper in that. And I just really believe that if we just start letting go of our pain and our trauma, that we start to be able to become more present. And when we become more present, we become more conscious, and we start to come from that place of love. And I think a lot of us are just carrying around way too much pain and hurt.
You're right. And, and I find that with myself. I mean, living in the past sometimes as opposed to living in the now and the present. And sure, we want great things for the future, but, and that's one of the things I've learned in meditation, is really focusing on the now. And, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, and the past is already past, so we can't change that. So one of the things that, I know this is such basic, and most of you probably already got this, but like focus only on what you want. So don't focus on what you don't want. And Karen and I had a discussion the other day about affirmations, and some good ones. And so use those affirmations, if you're going to use affirmations, to think about and say things only that you want, the positive things. So you don't want to use the no's and the negatives in there.
Right. Like a lot of people say, I don't want to be fat.
Right.
Well, you've just given two negatives. Don't fat, take it out. And what is it that you really want? Well, I want to be healthy and I want to be thin. So
Right.
you say that I want to be thin or I want to be healthy, or you can even turn it into a feeling, I feel healthy when I'm thin. And,
Right.
now you've turned it into a positive. So it's really about how you write those affirmations as well.
Right. And like me, I do mine, a lot of them on little Post-its. And so this one I used my initials. So it's I am amazing, determined, and strong for my initials. So think about some different things that you could implement right away to get some focus and get a better mood and be the best you. So speaking of that, I have a course, The Best You. Mood is one portion. And I know Karen has a course. We both have online courses. We love to help people and share what we use, what we practice, and what we teach others that has been effective for us. So we are going to say goodbye for today, and I hope that you join us again another time. So thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you, Andrea.
Bye.